Is it you? Yay! Are you one? Yay! One. Yay! Zoran is 1. Zoran turned 1 January 13th, and he is my 5th son. In this video, I'm going to talk a little bit about Zoran's first year, being postpartum in the middle of a global pandemic, and transitioning into a mom of 5. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to my channel down below. Where did he go? Oh, there he is! I feel like when people think postpartum, they either think like immediate postpartum, or they think about like weight loss or like getting your body back or like snapping back. A year later, and I'm still 15 pounds over my pre-pregnancy weight. It's not really where I want to be, especially at a year, but it's also not about the number on the scale, and it's more about how I feel and my goals. With breastfeeding this time around, it has made me clung to every last pound I've tried to lose for the last year. And that's not even an exaggeration. I got a Peloton this year. I rode it consistently for like 4 or 5 months, and I didn't shed a single pound. I am happy that I took progress pictures, because if you look at what I looked like at the beginning of the year versus what I looked like at the end of the year, even though the scale said the same thing, I looked completely different. I have a lot of body image issues. Trying to gain confidence while not seeing that number on the scale budge, even though I'm putting in hard work, has been kind of hard. And at times it's made it easy to just like give up on my fitness goals and like where I want to be. So my fitness this year has been very slow. So that's where I am with my weight loss. Physically, I feel fine. I got my cycle back right away, which kind of sucked, because usually, you know, when you're breastfeeding, your cycle doesn't come back for a while. But it's regular, on time. I don't have any issues. I feel completely 100% back to normal physically. Let's talk about that postpartum hair loss though. It almost looks like I'm going bald right here. So my hair loss peaked between 6 and 8 months postpartum, and that's when I was losing like the most hair, and like chunks were just like falling out. But now you can see where it has like grown back. It's like so short while, and it's hard trying to figure out how to style it and keep the fuzz at bay. My hair is still falling out a little bit, but not nearly as bad as it was. So we're still breastfeeding. He's a year and a month old. He does eat regular food, but he still nurses quite a bit. I honestly don't know when we're gonna give that up, because it's a little bit bittersweet. Most days I'm done and I'm over it, but then there's other days where I'm like, I know I'm gonna miss this when it's over. My mental health is probably what has suffered the most. When I first transitioned into being a mom of 5, it seemed really easy. I had a super good baby who didn't cry, wasn't colicky. I'm like, when is it gonna start? I was anticipating the crying, the colic, and he was just like this perfect little baby. When he was first born, I'm like, whoa, this is so much easier than I thought it was going to be. Then the pandemic hit. Everything was on lockdown. We were stuck inside the house. So it's hard to decide if my mental health being so terrible is from being postpartum and hormones, or is it because we were on a lockdown. So I have a history of depression, postpartum depression. I don't usually have anxiety, but after I had my 4th son, I definitely suffered a bit from postpartum anxiety, and it's definitely worse this time around. Every postpartum experience has been different for me. Just because something happened to you when you were postpartum after your first baby doesn't mean it's going to happen again after your second baby. So this whole postpartum anxiety is pretty new to me, and I'm trying to figure out how to work it. I'm not on any meds or anything for depression or anxiety, but it's definitely something that I do struggle with. I use different mechanisms to try to cope as best I can. Not against medicine, I'm just not on any. I feel like a lot of my depression and anxiety also stem from the stress of being in the middle of a pandemic. I have 3 older kids who are in virtual school. They started out in school and then they switched to virtual, and just recently they went back into school. I feel like some of it had stemmed off of stress and the pandemic because we were trapped in the house, and they're on virtual and they have to be on at 9, and then this one has to be on at 9:30, and then this one has to be on at 10:30, and then this one has to be on at 11, and this one has to be on at 12, and this one has to be on at 1, and this one has to be on at 12:30. And it was really hard for me to keep up with everybody's schedules and also have a baby and a toddler. It sort of felt like I was trapped in the house because, well, obviously I was trapped in the house, but it felt like the walls were closing in on me and I felt trapped because there's no point in the time of day in between their Zoom calls where there's a break. We can't go to Chick-fil-A and grab Chick-fil-A for lunch because there's no time to do that. So there's no time to run errands or like get too much of anything done that's outside of the house. I was spending so much time just jumping from computer to computer and helping the kids, and it really took a toll on me mentally, while also trying to do activities with my toddler, trying to do things with Zoran. It was just a lot. It definitely took a toll on my mental health. I probably cried more in the year 2020 as a whole than I've cried like my entire life. It was just that bad. It was terrible. Transitioning into a mom of 5 was like way easier than I thought it was gonna be. Transitioning from 3 to 4, that was terror. Terror rained down on me. During that time. When this was like so simple, I was like, wait, shouldn't this be like harder? Because he was such an easy baby, that made my transition so much easier. Whereas my 4th son, Zion, was colicky and he made the transition from 3 kids to 4 kids a lot harder. So this was my 2nd time being a mom of 2 under 2. That's actually my favorite age gap. It seems a lot easier to manage because even though the kids aren't the same age, they were doing similar things, which made it easier to handle because I could try to sync up their schedules, their nap times, their bedtimes, their eating times, so it would just make life a lot smoother. Now having 2 under 2 while also having 3 older kids was a lot harder than having 2 under 2 and that being my only 2 kids. But I do have, in the middle, I have an age gap of 3 years, and that's probably my least favorite age gap. They were too far apart. My 3-year-old still needed a lot from me, and I had this colicky crying baby who also needed a lot from me. 3 years was too big of a gap for me. I like mine to be a little bit closer than that. So Zoran started walking when he was 10-ish months. Right when he turned 10 months, he started walking. So he's been walking for a while now. He's basically running and he thinks he's invincible. His favorite thing to do currently is climb the stairs. So if you're not looking for 3 seconds, he will be at the top. So you better run. He just recently started sleeping through the night when we tried to transition him into his crib, and it kind of just like went hand in hand and worked out. We can lay him down awake. He usually sleeps all night long. Occasionally he'll wake up once or twice depending on the night. He's currently cutting 3 or 4 molars. I don't know if that has a lot to do with his sleep or like affecting his sleep. That's also something we're dealing with. Teething. He has 4 teeth on the top and 3 teeth on the bottom, plus he's getting his 4 molars in and that 4th tooth on the bottom. So he is currently cutting a lot of teeth. No, this does not deter me from breastfeeding. He does not bite me. He eats plenty of food. He loves food, especially food that he can pick up and eat by himself. He's not a huge fan of like being fed. He never was really into baby food. We tried, we sort of just skipped out on it. Waited till he was a bit older and just started giving him like regular food. Breastfeeding him has been pretty straightforward. We didn't have too many struggles, which was really nice because I've had plenty of struggles breastfeeding my other kids in the past, but I haven't had any issues this time around other than getting into the flow of things like when he was first born and we first started. He hates the car. He absolutely hates the car. I blame that on the pandemic because we didn't go anywhere. So he never got used to being in the car seat and riding in the car. We still barely go anywhere. So anytime I put him in the car, he immediately just starts screaming. I'm hoping that over time he just gets used to it and it gets better. But it could also be that he can't see me because the kid is obsessed with me. And maybe since he's rear facing and he can't see me, he doesn't like that too much. Even though he's 1 and you think he would be be a little bit more independent. He's not. He's glued to me. He loves his mama. But when I'm not around, he's perfectly fine. When he's with other people, he's playing and he's independent. But as soon as he sees me, he just wants to be like in my lap, near me, touching me, nursing, all that. He's like, Mom, no, you're not going to do the laundry. Mom, no, you're not going to do those dishes. You're going to sit down and you're going to hold me. Sometimes it's just really hard and frustrating to get things done, but I know these moments are fleeting and it's not going to last forever, so I try to think of that, enjoy the little moments at the same time. He's weighing in at a whopping 22 pounds. He's not very big. He's definitely one of my bigger kids that I've had. We usually have like tiny, skinny, little tiny babies, and he was my like chubby, ahead of the game baby. Him and my 2-year-old almost probably weigh the same. So that has been my postpartum experience during a pandemic and the first year with Zoran. It's been a lot, but we are making it work and we are powering through it. Here's my 1 year postpartum belly. Do I have abs yet? I've been working on them, but they're not showing up anywhere. So this is what I look like 1 year postpartum after 5 kids. It's a journey, it's a process, and I know I'll hit my goals. Eventually, it's just gonna take me some more time. That's my update, and I'll see you in the next video.